think so. Good. So my name is Babis Theodoulidis. I'm also an engineer, but I've been working in IT-related issues for a long time in a department called computation at UNIS. And then when we merged, we moved on to the MBS. So that's my quick story. So I just realized that I've been doing a living lab all these years, and I didn't know about it. Yeah? So my contribution to today's meeting is a module, a course that I've been running for the last 4 years called Business Team Project, where students were given a brief, business students with IT, a bit of IT training. This is a brief explaining that the university has a problem in managing its carbon emissions, and that students have to work in groups to develop a proposal, a business plan to address some of these issues. So that's the brief. And when we thought of this, we didn't really do it ourselves. We went to the university, we spent time talking to different people, and we were lucky talking to Lucy from the States, from the sustainability team, and also people from the energy, Damian and Chris and others. And we did stakeholders, people from the IT, central IT as well. So we did a kind of stakeholders group that were kindly agreed to provide some input to the project, including very much needed data, because if you develop a business plan, you need data to analyze. And that was one of the biggest challenges then, and still is today. So that's the brief. Why we started with this, I mean, the reasons are known to everybody here. I guess that's why we are all here in this room. For us specifically, it was important for students to be able to engage with real-world problems. The university problems are very much so real-world, and our motto is that if it works in Manchester, it will work in any other university for this kind of problems we were talking about. We did focus on business cases, which means not only the, if you like, the technology and solution bit, the problem-solving bit, but also the financial bits to support the business case, and also any people implications. So we look at the problem in three perspectives: the business perspective, the technology or the solution perspective, and the people perspective. And lots of exchange of information between the stakeholders and the people. In fact, in some cases there were relationships that were a bit stretched, because imagine PhD students approaching the States guys asking for stuff. So there was a kind of a bit of a balance to address. And we also believe that one of the biggest, if you like, outputs is the wellness and behavioral change. In fact, we ran a small research project on this, and we have a publication also. So it's one of the biggest areas, the wellness and behavioral change, that it is still not very well addressed. So that's the why bit for us. How we did it, the what bit. So it's running for 2 semesters. Input from the stakeholders, as I said, from the IT stage guys, IT and the stage guys. Students developing the initial ideas in the first semester. They do a bit of collection of data, or we give them the data, and they evaluate. So they evaluate initial ideas, 2 or 3 typically, and that's the output of the first semester. Then we decide on one of the cases, 1 or 2 of the cases, and they go in the second semester, set up test cases. We had lots of examples of where people actually, students groups actually did some setup in the university. We had, for example, one installation in the toilets in the MBS's building to measure how water in the toilets will be reduced by using a device called Water Hippo. And lots of other things like this, questionnaires, etc. They collect the data, they evaluate, and then they develop the business case, including, as I said, the financial aspects, net present value, etc. So we see this, we sell to the students as well, that this type of project is essentially a wicked problem. It's a problem that you're not sure what the right information is, what you're looking for, how to collect it, if it's not available. There are lots of different views, whether it's from the business part, the process part, what is happening, but also the people part. Things are changing all the time, whether this is technology related or otherwise. And at the end of the day, you don't have a right or wrong solution. It's something that is good enough to go ahead, implement, and then follow up, monitor, and improve. So that's kind of the perspective. And of course, the learn by doing, or the living lab scenario. Now, the output of the students, as I said before, they do the data collection. They do things like SWOT analysis, risk analysis. They do the implementation plan. They make lots of assumptions, and on the basis of this, they do financial analysis. We're talking about student projects, so the good ones are very good ones, and as you can imagine, there are some that are not so good. But at the end of the day, everybody has the chance to work on this, and the skills that students get, for me, is the important output of this process, and as well as, in some cases, things that go back to the university. In fact, all the reports are given copies of to our stakeholders. Example projects. I was looking last night on what projects we'll be running. The project, this started 4 years ago. Initially, we had a very much an IT focus because we had identified this area as, if you like, easy to start with. So things like projects that students did at that time, virtualization. So I'm not going to go to explain this. I can answer the question you have. Green disease, we had a company from Sheffield that gave us donated a low consumption PC that we installed in the labs and we used. Switch on and off lab stats, that's a software. Then the university later on adopted the switch on off power saving policy in the labs on the central lighting. In 2010-11 we had a kind of a Boris Bank type of scheme for Manchester. Timetabling, we had a project that looked at how the timetabling could be improved to reduce energy requirements for rooms, lecture theatres. Green IT, lots of projects on green IT, like labs and procurement, and a project IT related on the library. We call it Green Library. So that's in 2011-12, we had a bit more hands-on, estates related. The water heater that I mentioned in the top later. We had a project on examining new ways that the car park pay scheme, instead of being the user rate per month, to be on a pay-per-use type of basis, plus scenarios for having a low change the car park charge based on your CO2 emissions of the car. And recycling scheme, green loyalty card, that's actually, I think, is a very good idea. For me, especially now with the new card that has smart card functionality, and the energy dashboard for the halls of residence. So, in this year, we had the key card switch for halls. It wasn't actually set up the project in this because of other reasons, but this is one of the things that definitely can be done. The business case was very strong. Water harvesting, the sustainability award, which is a proposal to do a module like a leadership scheme module across the university and across schools, and project with gigabytes. So that's kind of the latest ones. I'm happy to discuss more details. So I put them up here for ideas on perhaps things that could be done in the university. At least we have a starting point that our students can look at. And in addition to teaching, I've also been involved with a research project funded by GISC with the states. That was specifically on business intelligence, collecting and analyzing data relating to buildings, energy consumption, room booking, IT and financial data. Business intelligence or information management is my area of expertise. I believe that all the projects that we'll be running in a context like this, they have to collect and analyze data, and in my experience, 80% of the time is spent on this, to make sure that the data you collect are good enough, good quality, collected on time, and the right resolution to be able to do the analysis after that. So that was the DISC project. It was done with the estate's input, and Trevor at that time was involved from before he left, was involved. And that's my presentation. I hope I gave you a few ideas with the projects we run. My experience is very beneficial for the students' involvement, but the relationship with the estates needs to be managed. If there is some process and formal structure that can do this, that's even better. The big challenge for me is data. I keep saying this. I said it to Lucy the first year we met. I say it today as well. Things have improved, but data and data management is a key area. For example, that's for Diane. When we looked at the buildings software, Trevor was very surprised with the kinds of problems there were there with the data collected on the, what's the name of the software? Archivus, with Archivus. So data management is a key area. And my suggestion to people in this room and people who can influence things is, with the new CIO coming in September, that might be a good opportunity to set up something on the university level, because IT needs to be involved in this kind of process with the data management, central IT I'm talking about.
Great, thank you very much, Babis. I'd just like to thank Diana, Ian and Babis for giving up their time and putting together talks for us this afternoon. Hopefully that's acted to just stimulate a few thoughts or get some ideas firing as to the kinds of things that might be possible. We've got just under an hour now to stage some kind of discussions around possible collaborative projects, whether they be research or teaching or mixtures of both. On the agenda, it has some suggested areas for discussion.